Well, here we go again. This is part two. Well, part one, really, because we didn't technical doodah with the problems with this video system. Meant we had to postpone yesterday. But anyway, not to be put off, we shall have another crack at it. Today's subject is dun, 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 dun. How's it go? James Bond. This is the colour image that I managed to sneak from some of the web, but the actual sketch is is straight from a black and white photo image, which seems to be quite nice. I like the light and shade of it, the highlights, but just so happens that the color photo, so I got some idea of what the what tan is he's got and all that sort of stuff. He's pointing more or less the same way. The gun's different. Not that I'm fussed about that. It's more about the headshot really and doing it. Today I decided to take a little change in the way I do it. I'm gonna start off. I've got a lovely clean palette here, as you can see. I'm going to start off by just using a bit of white watercolor gouache, but it's the PAS gouache, which is sort of a blend of watercolor and gouache. And all I'm going to do is get a brush, and I'm just going to look at the photo and paint white. Just add the white where I see highlights. Anywhere I see white, obviously I'll put pencil marks where there's sort of shady bits in his face. Or I just thought it'd be a good idea. The idea behind this is later on when I lift colour up, it'll sit there. You'll see what I'm on about in a minute. Well, as I proceed, there's some here in his eyes. The ear, I noticed there was some in the ear. Just down there. And there, really should use a small brush for this. Perhaps a rigger, but no. Just just so you've got some undercolor. I suppose that's what I'm doing really. Just undercoloring it with a tone, or zero tone, which is the white. It's a little bit on too much there. It's a bit there. Irony of it is, it comes out the tube really white, but when you look at it on as it dries off on the paper, it's definitely got a, I don't know, maybe it's my eyesight, it's got a pinky tinge to it. Anyway, once we get this, I'm just going to put it on and just let it dry. And then go to the next stage. I'm not going to put any in the eyes, so I'm not really that fussed about that. Dries off quick, this white colour. There's definitely some there on that highlight, and that eye, just below the eyebrows. Some there. That nose area. nasal area. Quite a lot on the nose. Shady area. Bit on the chin. Loads in there. Some just where goes right across to the eyebrow, that doesn't it? Some highlights there in the hair. Put your hair highlights on. And get a point on this brush. There's a smidgen just around his ears. The outside. It's drying off sort of a pinky colour. Yeah. In this light, just going to let it dry off. Shall I put some on the shirt? No, I don't think I'll bother because it's drying off white. Maybe there's something in the brush. Ah, that's what it is, I bet you. The brush has got some residue of paint in it. Oh well, not to be deterred. While that's setting off, I think I'll have a go at his once I do the jacket. I'll find the flat brush. There she is. Might have a bit of fun here actually. Make it nice and damp. On my sketch, his hand is different. It's not up to his face. I don't know what I've done with the reference picture of this pose. There you go. Just to make it up as we go along. Assuming that's going to be jacket. Just clean water and want the paper to be nice and damp. This is the Arches hot press. Smooth, you know, fine. Right, next colour. Green. What? Yeah, I'm just going to go in with a load of green. Don't ask me what green it is. It's Hooker's green. Well, you've got to, otherwise no one will know. Hooker's green with some Viridian. I think what I do is I put Hooker's on one side and another green. Only two greens, really. Why two? I don't know. Just seems like you see it. Viridian's always such a, on its own, and Hooker's green for that matter. They're not. They look a bit insipid, a bit false greens. But they're only the base colour anyway for what comes on top. Hence the reason making it all nice and wet, because I want it to blend and flow. That's quite nice, that green actually on the jacket. There you go. Gonna have to make a mental note that there's a collar on the jacket. Right, before it dries off, get some pink, as alizarin crimson, and drop that in as well on top of the green. Just blending it. just a background base colour for. Can't go totally black because his dicky bow is a black colour. So start off with a nice off. Well, the two colours that I'd mix to get a black would be the green and the Alzerian crimson. Lazarin. Alzerian, I call it. It's a Lazarin, isn't it? Yeah. But you want it to be nice and damp because you want the wash to sort of blend and flow into it. You can see it's getting really dark there. On my shirt, he says, don't get my shirt dirty. You can always use the spray and just spray it. Whoops. On the fingers. It's just the background. Just to set it off. Should have used a bigger brush, really. Down, 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 down. Lucky this brush has got a nice point in it, and I can get a nice, get quite close to the pencil line. Hopefully that will dry nicely. Set the scene for later. I'll wet it again later, and if I want it to go really dark. Still got a bit of play in it, a little bit of moisture. Hopefully it'll dry back, settle itself down. It's the beauty of watercolour, isn't it? You never can tell exactly what's going to happen as it dries. Sets itself on. Well, that's set the scene. And it's ready for dinner. Right. Oops. The microphone's falling off. There. Next stage, I'm going to mix up some flesh. Well, I'm luckily, as everybody knows, in my nice clean palette, I've actually got some flesh tone, very faint. It's a weak flesh tone, but as we know, we can mix up our own. Bit of raw sienna, bit of our pink, Alzerian crimson. Gives us a nice tone. Looks all right to me. What I'm going to do first is going to make the face nice and well, not nice and damp, just damp, clean water all over it. Eyes, everything. Obviously not the hair. And this, while I'm at it, I think I might do the hand as well, which is down here. Whoops. Missed just over there. And just give it a light. If you do go over the eyes, don't worry about it. Skin tone, flesh tone. So let's go over everything. If you haven't got enough, contrary to common belief, we can mix up the same colour more than once. But I'm using plenty of water because I want it to be just a nice wash. And we can build up. If you're looking at your photo, you can see where the highlights are on the face. So just avoid them. Just do that. Oh, sorry, I forgot I was going to put some on the hands as well. I've just washed it all away. Stupid boy. So a bit of that. Bit of alizarin crimson, alizarin crimson, wherever you want to pronounce it. All sienna, alizarin crimson, and a dollop of water. Gives us a nice skin. Tone. It's the fun bit in a way, dropping in darker tones, just looking at the picture where they're obvious darker shades. Now, what I'm going to do, clean my brush off, we're going to mix up some shadow neutral tone, which is cobalt, cobalt turquoise, and a little bit of this alizarin, and you'll get a nice neutral tint tone that you can drop in. Don't need it too strong. Always looks a bit yuck to start with. Just try and find some shadows. Too much water. And if you, I have to put this up down, so I need a bit of tissue in my hand. Just drop it in. It's always the exciting bit. Using this big brush, but it's usually right in where the eyes are, the eye socket, whatever you call it. Just lift a bit out. A bit pinky that, I think. A bit more of the blue. I think I might swap brushes and use a slightly smaller brush. It's these said it a million times now. These mop brushes are brilliant, but they don't have to soak up all the paint. Excuse me. I've got a smaller brush here. Okay. Little dinky one. And just look for the shady bits on your picture and just drop them in. A bit too much going on there. Let's move. Eyelids are always have a slight shape to them, and we've got these sexy frown lines here and there. The ears have got too much water on there, but hey ho, we'll go with it. It's just a matter of just dropping the neutral tint in on the top of the flesh, really. If you get an area where you've got a big blob of water, just lift it off. Hence the tissue. Definite smudge here. blue into that. If you want to, you can use a rigger if you want to be more precise. But we like the water doing some of the work. It just that the way that it just flows around is, oops, part and parcel of the whole thing, really. Just setting the tone for later on. Just gradually build it up. We've got distinct as I've almost got a little bit too much water on here now, but I'm going to persevere. Let's drop in some of these tones. Not sure I need that over there, so I'm going to just lift it off. I'll put a bit on his eyebrows because they're distinctive. It's definitely a nice bit there. Just this area here. Take that off. It's the one thing about this mop brush, it's really good at lifting paint off. And with a point, it does a pretty neat job too. So all we're doing is just basically making a few decisions where we've got sort of shady areas, and we'll let them fizzle out a bit. It's like a line of it on the brow, isn't there? Where the hair meets the hairline. Down, down, down. So I don't know where I've got to find my image, my reference image. I've got a black and white one here, so I've got to post it out to everyone else, and I'm using something else. Right. Next, I think we'll build it. It's a question of building it up there. Don't know about this brush. What a nice thicker one here. Just mix up a bit darker flesh. Just make it, just make his face a little bit dark again. The brush keeps running off under the tent. Right, yeah. Just a quick splash of water, I think. Not too much, Dave. And then we'll just start adding a bit of flavour. I think I'll start at the top. Being left-handed, I keep going over myself. It might be a little bit red, that. A bit too much. Didn't want to get that sort of colour. Add a little bit of the natural flesh tint to it, I think. It is red in most. It's not particularly, it's the blooming photo, isn't it? My photo. Try and remember where I put those highlights. There it is. Do you know what? I still think that's too red. Growl. Hopefully it'll fade back when it dries. A little bit of ordinary flesh tone. It's a matter of slowly build it up. Now you can see why I put those the white right from the start, so that at some point I can lift it off and that will give us the highlights underneath. Well, that's my plan. These go right up there, don't they? Just a matter of building it up now, I think. One thing I usually do, and I haven't done yet, I'll find a nice soft brush. Keep putting brushes down like everyone else and never finding them again. Is always a little bit of green. One under there as well. Not be far away. It's not a normal day, isn't it? Looking for your favourite brush. That's a shame. I like that one because it had a bit of a sable edge to it. Never mind. It's a little bit green, which is all gone a bit dry. Tad of blue, I think, turquoise. Just want to mark. Ooh, that's a bit strong. Mark out their eyes a bit. Always looks nicer if someone's got some eyes. No, it's not there. Annoying, that. You always have a favourite brush for a period of time, and that was the one that's now no longer with me. Life. Too much. Just wanted to add a little bit of colour into his eye compartment. Ding, 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 ding. Could add a little bit more red to warm it up a bit. I think I'm using the crimson's not quite the best red to use. Well, maybe not. I'm sticking with it anyway. It's part of my armoury. I'm not worried about it moving. the paint swishing, because it's just the water, it's making it go. One thing I've never tried, I've just noticed it here in my palette. I've got this colour called Dune, which is like sand. It does have a nice sort of fleshy feel to it, so I think I might just drop it in a few spots here and there. That I'm not worried about, because we'll soften it down with some clear water. We'll brighten it out with a bit of raw sienna. Changes the tone of the skin tone instantly. Soft rigor. Clean water, just soften those edges down a bit. Very faint line of colour on the ears. When doing this on my own, it doesn't feel the same. It's not. Tuesday mornings, I've got the interaction and a little bit more pressure as well, in a funny way, that makes you paint that little bit better. It's a bit toned. So I'm not too fussed about if I put too much paint on, because I've always got tissue in my hand, so I can quite quickly tease it off. Like that bit there is not really in the right spot. What I was supposed to do was put it in there, put it over the whole lot and then lift it off. Just the same difference. And lift off the paint there. Being fiddly, isn't it? Ears and noses are always the ones that get us, aren't they? In bits off here. Soften it down. Just clean water on the brush now, just moving it around. And lifting it off. Rigor. Get in there a bit. Come on. James Bond. Still got this green here. Add a bit of, supposed to be a bit of the alizarin crimson to it. I think we're all still a bit damp here, aren't we? What I will do with that colour, add a bit more green, and it goes really dark. Start a few bits to the top. Amazing how green and alizarin crimson goes, that really goes to black almost, which was one of the things that I was going to do on his jacket, and we'll revisit that in a few minutes' time, just to add a little bit more depth to his jacket. Just get a base colour down straight off to get things moving. Which is sidebirds, they don't come down that far. Get the old river. Clean water. Let it do a bit of work. Not worried about the fine edges on the outside, so I'll tidy those up later. Still got a bit of that. Hair colour. Bit in on his. He's got hair, really bushy eyebrows. Just try to move your arm, not your hand. So I'm stood up painting it. Sort of free. I'm not sat down resting and concentrating on a specific area, which makes it interesting. Forces you to paint really it's the same hair colour. Just go into this shady area. Quite a handsome little dude, this Sean Connery. Whoops, too much. Maybe. Yeah, gotta lift that bit. Just wanted a colour bit in the middle. Ooh, stick my hand in the corner. Happy Basil? That was green, that was supposed to have been. Cobalt blue. A little bit of the red. I was trying to mix up a bit more of the neutral tinty colour that I've been playing with. Neutral grey for one of the. So a little fine wash of it just around here. What we want to shadow almost under his nose. Hopefully that'll fade back quite a lot. shadow right in the dimple there. Watch that because it's getting a bit overpowering. It's like a triangle shape just here. Very good. That'll slowly dry back. A worry line just here. More shadow area inside the eye line. It's almost like he's got make mascara on. I don't think so. Bond wearing mascara. That's a new one. A few bits I want to lift off. Just there. We'll see if I stop my hand in. Over here. I haven't decided what colour the background is yet, but looks like it's being made for me. Too much water on them. Just let it rest, I think, for a minute. Let it dry off a bit. Come back with a rigger. But I could, before I do that, add a bit more to his jacket, clean water. Although I've got a lot of that at the moment. Excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat today. Just stick with the same tonal mix of green and crimson. Perhaps I might sneak a little bit of blue in it. Who knows? And just drop it in, see where it goes. Bear in mind it's a watercolour, not an oil. So darker, I think. More of it. Never mix up enough paint sometimes. Just don't mess about, just go for it. I want it to look like it's just come out of the dry cleaners at Moss Bros. And I want it to flow. I did and ah about actually putting a gun in the picture. Just think it looks a bit. Part of it is naff, but the other bit is synonymous with Sean anyway. And drop something over here. don't want to make it too dark because he's got this dicky bow on, and the dicky bow is darker than everything. Sweep. Oops. Supposed to go in a tissue. I just tried to wipe it off with my hands. Just going to take a line of paint off there to make it look like it's got some sort of collar. Hopefully that'll dry. Same there. Gradually building them up. Gradually building up. The next stage, make them try and bring him out a bit. And the nose. Hopefully, just dried it off a little bit. So, okay, rest my arm. And rest my arm on it. It's looking. It's paint. Oh, I don't know why. Getting old. Sitting down is more comfortable than standing up. Well, a little bit. Just need to lighten this off a bit. Just clean water. Just tidy a few bits up. A little bit there. That's annoying me. And that bit there. Cookie, that can go over a bit. As his head goes out to the eyebrow. I'm just pushing the paint across. I've got most of the colours I need in my palette. Just squish a bit of water on them. Amazing how quick things dry out. A bit of raw sienna. Maybe it might have been an idea to add a bit more raw sienna into the flesh earlier on. It does definitely seem to be more of a yellow tone to it. I think I'll add a bit. Just want to add a little bit of glow to the picture. So I'm just going to add this to the hair. I'm not worried about the highlights. I'll put those in at the end. I just wanted to give him a nice warmer feel to. You can always go over, well, we'll go over it with some darker, but I just thought it needed an undercolour of the burnt of the raw sienna. Actually, there's a little bit of flesh in the brush, I think, and it's just sort of one of those happy. I think it's a happy accident. It seems to have a nice glow to it. I'm just going to go for it now. Add it in quite a few places. Didn't really want it to go there. nose here as well. There's a line that comes right down, just on half of his nose. Ding, bling, bling, bling. Sound effects start coming in now. Ding, bling, bling, ding, bling, bling. The only problem sitting down is you can't actually, well, you can, but you don't actually get to. You're a little bit too close to see exactly what's what. I quite like this. So what that was, it was the sand colour, which I always recommend you have in your palette anyway, because it lightens any colour within your palette. And I've just used it with raw sienna to lighten it. Quite a clever trick that. As I say, always saying that every time you start painting, something happens during the painting, you think, oh, that's a neat idea. Like over there, let's put a bit of this hair, the hair that goes down that side to tighten that part of the face up. Now I'm just looking for areas to add this tone, which I say, which is more of a yellowy glow to Mr. Connery. It needs a bit there. Just looking at the nose on the photograph and looking for little shapes. This little sort of triangle sort of in there that I can utilise. A line there. Bit fleshy there. If I get any hard lines, I'll just use this colour to trick them off. I always tell when I'm happy with a picture because I start seeing. Let's add a little bit of shadowy tone under his neck. Doing a bit. If it's too strong, probably water. Just rest the brush on it and lift a bit off. Get in there. Get in there. Where's my rigger? If I need a little smidgen of this. I'll add a lot of water to this neutral. That's a bit more blue actually. Can use just blue. It works quite interesting, especially when you put the flesh on top of it, a fleshy tone on top of it. It was just under his it's like a shady area. Careful. It's a bit like a Nazi moustache. Lift a bit off. Okay. Let's get some of the dark. Some bit more green on that water. And dollop of alizarin. A bit more green turns it darker. You can maybe show off and add a little bit of blue to it if you want. Then you'll get a black. I'm just fascinated how two colours, the green and the crimson, gives it such a lovely, you get such a dark tone. great for nostrils. That's where it started off from. Mark Entwistle says in one of his sort of demos. Makes a lovely colour to go in the nostrils. Really need a finer brush here. I've got one somewhere. Doesn't get much finer than that. Dollop. I don't know what it is now. Can't see it. It's got a bit dark. Triple O, something like that. It's apparently it's the one for doing your eyes. Definitely feel like a makeup artist when you get to this sort of stage. The eyes have it. The eyes have it. Now what I want is a bit more. This is sort of dirty water, really. Just done around here. Blend it in. The shadow here in the eyes. There's a gentle one over here. I think my eyebrow. No, it's not too bad. Now what I do need to do is put a line dark just down there, because his hair goes up, just forms that side of the face, the picture. Coming along, I think I might have put a bit too much of that grey over there. This brush is so even a fine rigger is too big at this size. Amazing. I need a dark first tone. He's got his lines off his face there, and I want to lift off. That's what it's all about now, isn't it, these days. Put paint on and lift it off with this stiffish brush. I want to lift off some of this tone here. Now you know why I put the white underneath. If you've got one of these flat brushes, they're quite stiff. It's an oil brush. I've mentioned it loads of times. Rosemary and Crow Evergreen. This is number 6. You can just use it to lift colour out now. Some of the spots. That brush just went through the window. Got the rigger as well, just to lift colour out. It's all right, I haven't forgotten about his lips. It's just a matter of time before I got there. It's just the top one to be a bit redder. Still not quite happy about the lip. It still needs a bit to just lift a bit off. Get the line. There's a lot of line there to come that way. bit of that off. Just a few dabs. Water. Come on. It's not too bad. I think the eyebrows need to go up on a little bit on this side. Very faint. Now, sort of a teardrop shape. Just pushing it around with some water, and now that spoils that bit, so I have to lift it off. But because we've got that white undercolour that I put right from the start, it will support it lifting off. Yeah, and that there, isn't there? Just lift that off. It just helps me. I can lift it off without leaving a sharp line. I'm just giving it a gentle tease off, really. That line's not there. And that melts a little bit. Just soften it down. It's just not even water on the brush. It's just really damp now. Just going to feather it around. These paintings are only supposed to take an hour or so, just an hour or so. So hence the reason we get a wiggle on and don't hang about. Yeah, that's not too bad. His hair up, yeah, I'm coming back to that in a minute. Need a fine brush, really. Softer brush, but my rigger is just a little bit too whippy. So what I'm probably going to buy is another one of these evergreen brushes, but with a much smaller one, because they've definitely got the edge on the watercolor brushes for just smoothing stuff around. And the next marvelous escapade, I think I'll have a go at his hair. More green, conscious of the time, and the red. Give it that bit more, so I can get a nice dark. It's not black, but if I want black, I'll just add a little bit of blue over there. And just use the rigger. Let's put this fine brush through. And just painting the shape of his hair. Just doesn't go the way you think it does. He's got it's brushed back, so I need to address that. And so it's the boring bit, really. It takes flipping ages. So I'm going to use a big brush. But push it, the brush strokes going back, try and leave a few marks, a few areas of that nice raw sienna. Put that one a bit too much. Never mind. Not a hair out of place. Well, yes, he has actually. Got that one. I noticed there's a distinct shadow there. Lovely jubbly. I'll use the regular again here. lines, of course. Wish I had hair like that. Anyhow, do. But I think putting that little bit of raw sienna, like raw sienna on over the hairs, giving it a sort of, gives us the opportunity to leave a little bit of a glow in additional highlights, really. Honestly, just what I'm trying to do is imagine what it's like to have their hair and flick it back over on itself like that. Not too bad. This needs to meet up somewhere. Running out of hair colour. Can't believe it. You go too mad. Still got a bit. To do, you know. Put a few. The bottom of the eyelashes, eyebrows are dark. Where they meet the. Seeing the light. Well, the light is shining, and that's in that way they fade as they grow. The lighter ones are at the top. I'm just going to add a few extra darks at the bottom of the eyebrows. That'll tease a few things out. And I still need some of that, calling it dirty water, but just going to put a drop of it under his nose. Help form the nose a little bit. Just in there as well. And the lip. The top of the lip. Especially. Use a thin line. The bottom of the lip. You can just put a little bit of clean water on it. That's what I'm going to do. Just add a little bit of extra bit of skin tone. Whereas drop it in probably a bit more colour. Trying to find some areas where the lip, the chin, give it a feeling that it's got some depth and pushing out towards you. And a round feeling on you. As I say, you can play, dither away and play with these things for eternity. One thing I did notice in the just a minute ago, there's a smidgen of, oops, a bit more dark, a smidgen of hair at the back of the ear, just here, just sort of completes it off a bit. Amazing, it? One little bit of paint changes the feel of the whole thing. It was brilliant. It's not brilliant, but it's there or thereabouts. I'm just going to stick another wash on his jacket if I can get there. So that jacket is definitely needs building up over a few washes. This would be what, the fourth wash? Clean water. Same colours. Alizarin crimson, alizarin crimson, or whatever you call it. Depends where you live, where you're from. Some down this side. It's just clean water before I wax some more. This time I'm going to mix a wardrobe of the colour, nice and dark. Might add a bit of blue this time. With this brush sake, so much of it. Right, there's a bit of blue in it. Come on, blue. There you come. It's gone a bit too grey, I think. Drop it in. Don't mess about. Let the water do some of the work. All of the work, if it will. I'm at a what? 10-degree angle with my board, so it will drop down you know, flow a certain amount. Didn't want it to go there, did I? That'll be all right. Might even be another wash on this at some point. This is not dark, is it? And I wanted it to be dark as possible. Always use a bigger brush, I suppose. But yeah, we'll let that do its bit. Clean water. Just drip that on, so it's going to dry at a lesser rate. Well, dry different to the rest of the jacket, so it'll hopefully give it that feeling that it's got a sheen to it. I did say I wanted it, a bit of it over there, didn't I? Hint of it. Bond, James Bond. And then next off, tackle the dicky bow. Right, we're on a homeward track now, I think. Just a bit. Notice a few bits. My brush is sorted out. I found the nice one I like. Need to sort this out here. All that now. Probably a smudge on my hands. Just a quick sit down, I think, for this. A little bit. These eyebrows. Sticking my hand in food. Sound effects are free. Just tighten it up a bit there. bit of flesh, red, smidgen of raw sienna. The same one. I've been adding a little bit of made up St. Petersburg colour as well. Just going to move that over there because I'm fed up with sticking my hand in it and lean on my elbow now, as I normally do. Or I like to. Just want to add a few more bits of colour here and there. Painting's dry, the paper's dead dry at the moment, so none of my usual make it all soaking wet and see what happens. I'm just tightening up there. I'm restricted in a way by the red that I use. If restricted's the right word, probably not, but it does give your picture a certain tone, doesn't it? Mine obviously reflects that. So all you can do now is have a little play with the various brush tones that you've created in there. And gradually build it up. Okay. Yeah, my name is Bond. Basil Bond. One thing I must do is have another go at his hair. I've made it a bit too well. Need to add a few extra darks on it, I think. I'm not sure if that is hair now. Just a bit of skin. Some tissue. Just take a bit off. Lift it off. It's one of those areas of the reference image. It's slightly gives you a blur. You're not sure if it's one or the other. So anyway, add a little bit of flesh tone there. Same there. Build it up slowly with this brush. Bit under his chin, the shadow area. Come on, Jimbo. Better be chuffed out. Dave calls me Jimbo. Ah, Jimbo's James, isn't it? Just a bit of flesh tone, really, just building up here and there. It's not deliberate, but it sort of looks like a poster. I might need just a hint more of it. Oh, some there. Just in here. At some point, I'm just going to say stuff the reference picture and just start painting how I feel it should be. I feel that coming quite quickly, actually. Just tighten it up. I need to, anything I might have to lift the lid of the lip, lift a bit off that lip. Find a smaller brush, a rigger. Looking for a fine line of colour. Beauty of this sand or flesh tone that comes out of the tube is that it definitely lightens any colour. Once you get the regular in your hand there, you're doomed. It'll just stay there. One of the things I've been doing this morning is, early on, is looking at old Thunderbirds images, puppets. So I'm kind of influenced by that now. I'm starting to think he looks like Captain Black or Spencer, Mr. Tracy from Thunderbirds now. Yeah, I can go up to that. Neither. I think there'd be a shadow. Where is the collar? There. A little bit of shadow there. And just in the corner where the lips meet. Much sign there. His nose goes up a bit. And down a bit. Not bad, not bad, not bad. I'll just put a little smidgen of flesh there. Sure, there's a balance between water. If you get too much water on the brush, you get a blob of paint rather than just a nice, soft. Try and blend that across there. His nose comes in. There's a bit more colour there. So it goes in. Not far off where I want to be. Well, where I can be. Just going to mix up some more really dark, well, what I call dark green, and just try and put a few extra bit dark. So I'm just looking at the reference pictures, trying to look at where there's some dark areas, and maybe there's definitely something there. Was the makeup girls had a nice time tidying this hair up. Look it up. It's definitely dark hair. The light's reflecting off the paper, so I can't actually see what I'm doing. That makes sense. I don't want to lose that shiny bit there. I have to stand up for this. While I've got some of this dark, I'm just going to, I've got that really thin brush. I can just add a few little tiny bits. Take any water off. Bit of eyeliner. More the top, that's the bottom of the eyelid, isn't it? Stop it. shadow in there. Saying it's shadow, it's hair colour actually. But it's dark, isn't it? So don't too much. Still got this shadow area, that colour up there, top of my palette. And put a little bit on his ears. Very fine brush this, 0. Now one thing I'm looking at earlier was, I don't think I've got his eyebrow quite. It needs a bit more. Up the top here. A little bit more sinister look to it. Just flicking a few very little flicks with this brush just to add a few hairs. They'll fade back a little bit, so it's a bit better. Well, James, what do you think of it so far? What? Rubbish? Don't say that. I think I could go darker under his chin, actually. Just to emphasise that a bit more. Oh, nice. Fine line there. What about this dicky bow? It's going to be a nightmare, isn't it? I'm going to start off with a wash of blue, I think. Clean water first, obviously. Dab in some blue, see what happens. And then add the greens and that, see if I can get a sort of a what's the word? Blend of don't really. I'd leave a little bit of a highlight in it if I can, just to make it look more interesting. Drop in some green. As I say, my greens are really a blend of hookers and viridian in there. I think it is. And if it turns out old tubes of green go in that part of the palette, and I just mess about with it. Just use it. Almost a bit of a tartan, because he was Scottish, wasn't he? So just drop it in. I think he's got a Scottish, I don't think I need too much, just a hint of reflection on it. Just drop it in. Give it a feeling of tartan. Something like that. I think let's go a bit more over. And leave it, let it dry off. The gun, not a clue. I'm not into guns at all. So, just trying to remember the reference picture that I sent, the black and white one, what it looks like. Bit of blue, burnt umber. Give me a variation of darks. Blue. All burnt umber. No, that was green. Where are we? Gun. So what we do is make it wet and let the water drop in. Clean water. Well, sort of clean water. Sort of clean water. I'm not talking very loud because I'm concentrating. I'm not really, it's not planned, I'm just thinking out loud, really. Hopefully it'll well, it won't make sense, but it's quite a nice little brush, this. Sort of imagining what I think a gun looks like. Got some toy ones on the side. Maybe I should have maybe had a look at one. It's just various shades of dark, really, shadow. But different. Make it to the suit so that it stands out slightly different. Right, get some real dark bits, more green, more of the alizarin crimson. Bond, James Bond. I think the barrel, it's got a hole in it. I don't know. Doesn't really look like a gun to me. I never wanted to put it in the first place. Sort of a silvery grey. I think I'll just loosen that colour with a little bit of water. If it is a gun, don't point it at me, mate. Even I've gone quiet now, concentrating. Seems okay. A little bit of oomph in his fingers. In water, just let it flow down. And that's shadow in there, so I'm not going to. Could almost be white there. And that's his thumb. Let's get a bit of the shadow colour, I think. Bit in. That's the thumb and that's the finger, just there. Someone's got a coffee machine downstairs brewing. I just noticed the dog's just come upstairs and hiding. He hates the smell. They make really funny noises, don't they? When you're brewing coffee. He's just sat himself on the bed. Just have to let that dry off a bit. How you looking, Jimbo? Have to mix up some really nice dark for his jacket later. And make it even darker. His hand pressing, I think I need to lift some out. Need a bit of colour out. Get along here. Well, not with that brush away. Crikey. Some more highlights on there later. I'll make this darker jacket and that'll lift the gun out a bit. Coming along. Right, Mr. Bond. Not working this area here. Just doesn't rock my banana. Well, I'll try and make the background a little bit darker to see if that helps. So these are live issues, live problems. Oops, a bit of fresh water might help. Which is, this one's a little bit smaller brush is a bit better, so I've got a point on it. It needs to be nice and damp so that the paint will just, or the colour will flow. Burnt umber. Come here. Bit of blue. Quite a lot of blue, I think. Somebody's chopping a tree down at the front. Okay, Bond. Let's make it a bit bluer. Bluer, it's gone purple. Oh, such a life. Once you start, keep going. Not quite wet enough there. Let's see what I'm painting there. Over the edge a bit. It's never. Don't know. I'm not happy about this. Hand section. So fiddly. This doesn't feel. So maybe that's the problem. It's a watercolor and it doesn't feel. Maybe it's just me. It doesn't feel solid, opaque enough. Never mind. We shall persevere. It's a nice, a bit of sandy tone into the flesh. That's a nail there. That's a knuckle that's gone around. No, still not happy. It's not what I want. What I really, really want. So, lift it off, job. Sometimes when you lift it off, you get what you want. Sounds quite strange, but get the tone that you're after. Use this flat brush, it's a bit stiffer. Got to be a bit careful, otherwise the paper will roll over. Still dig a hole in the paper, that would be the defining moment. Just looking at my own nails to see what colour they are inside. There you go. It's a sort of little pinky bit around the top with white at the bottom, don't they? That's all. Well, mine do anyway. Tiny bit of shadow in there where it's one nail's touching the knuckle of the other hand. That's a finger there. What is in my picture? And that can be, yeah, that's better. I've picked up this brush with about 3 hairs in it here. Great for tidying things up, I suppose. Mr. Bond. Well, once you start having a go at yours, you'll suddenly start doing that as well. It's about whistling the Bond theme tune. Mr. Bond. Just need a bit of extra coat colour in here. Soften it down. It's not damp enough, I don't think. I said I wanted it to be damp so that it flows. Damn. Damn and blast. Well, I've started this, so I'll keep going. Not too bad. Bear in mind there's a frame going on here. I see what's annoying me. Hang on. The pencil line just here. So I need a bit of shadow underneath that area just here. So that's where the other nail is. Mm-hmm. Try and put your hand round in that sort of shape, see what turns up. Bit shadowy there. It's not an easy thing to paint a gun looking head on like this. Well, not for me, because I don't go for guns. Now it's loose and free, that's the main thing. There you go, Mr. Bond. We can do a little bit to his overcoat jacket. Just clean water down through there. Whammy gum. Mix up a little bit more green, alizarin crimson. And one wash down through there. I can't rest my arm on the picture. And what I'll do is use a flat brush. I think I mentioned the other day to someone that it's last week's painting, I think. If you use a flat brush, you can sometimes get a much keener line. Well, I can. There you go. Too bad. Needs a bit over this side. Bond, James Bond. It was blue. Need to mix up burnt umber. The paint palette needs tidying on. I went like that, a bit of green, didn't I? Because I mucked it up. Just extended his shoulder. Get some clean water. Perhaps use the softer brush and just go underneath that. See if it blends down off his shoulder. I think what I'll do is I'll extend that idea. Curve it. Let's leave that bit a little lighter over that side where his arm is. Clean water. See if we can get that to flow down. Same there. There's only clean water on the brush now. Should get some sort of shape up here. It's just clean water. See if I can smooth that out a bit. All about his face. He's so busy messing about with this. Still not happy with that hand though. Never mind. I think it's this bit that's wiggling me now, so we'll lift off just a little bit here and there. Scrub away. I know I always say paint what you see, but in this instance I can't really see what it is I want. There's no reference image on the reference detail on the image to show what's happening around here. So great stuff. Means you have to work it out yourself or just make it up. Just put a bit of a cuticle here and there. Technical term for medical students amongst us. And nail tacks, of course. Just spend a bit of time, 5 minutes. Tighten it up a bit. Bond. Basil bond. That used to be the thing, wasn't it? Basil and bond. I think there would be a knuckle with some description over here. Tighten it. And there's a little bit colour in there I don't really want. Maybe I'll use a bit of white on the gun. That'll liven it up a bit. Down, 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 down. What's that? Tiny brush. Tiny. Just want to stem it right across a bit. And also you need magnifying glass to see the end of this brush. So fine, so dinky. Sort of spoiled it. Anyway, we're not far away from where I didn't think I'd get this far actually. Gonna mix up some shadow, which is, in my case, cobalt blue, cerulean blue is good, and a little bit of alizarin crimson gives us a nice neutral grey tone. A bit more. And when this is all dried back, we can add a little bit of shadow here and there, especially over this side. Where a jacket meets. These are only pencil dots here, but I'll put a bit of paint on them. It's a few lines. It dries up so quick. I'll do a slightly larger brush, a bit more blue, a bit of crimson, a little bit of burnt umber, and a smidgen of green. See if I can get some sort of a Wacky colour. Maybe. The round brush now. And just a little bit of that blue. Hint of cobalt blue as well. Just lightly bluish tinge over here. Quite involved, this portrait, I must admit. More so than I usually. I don't know. Portraits are just fiddly squat things to do anyway. Good to have a go though, isn't it? When it's dry, we'll have to think about laying a wash on the background. Get the old dryer out. A few tops. Right. I'll think about it. His hair still needs to be. Almost done, I think. I've cooked it. I mean, it's just a lunchtime doodle. I'm thinking I could spend ages doing it up, and I think that was the white that I put on there. It's all gone powdery. It perhaps needs a bit of water on it. I'm just thinking out loud about the background. I'm not going to use this up, but what colour to put the back? What colour to use? Just tighten it up. It doesn't really need anything much. I'm just going to use this bit of white. Use the resources that are available. It's close again. Ooh, steady hand, Dave. Think up a bit of colour to go onto it. Waste not, want not. It's one of the few times you can paint like you would a wall with Dulux emulsion. Let's try with my other hand, see if I can get a bit closer. Ambidextrous, maybe. Yep. Yeah, it's dried quite powdery, that. Anyway, I'm just going to use some of the paint from the palette that's left over, any of it actually, and just off-white this. Add up a few. Oh, it's quite nice, that. Some sort of background. Be quite creative here, couldn't we? Ooh. Sure. Just so any of the paint that's left in my palette. Just thinking the dark side is this side, isn't it? So let's go a bit more over this side. Hopefully it will dry. Ooh, sorry. Oh, damn. Excuse me. Let's haste more speed here. Doing quite well already, because it's the size of the brush. One way of cleaning your palette. Done it again. Oh, dang. Really? That is unforgivable. Never mind. Obviously not as dry as it would first appear. Spray it a bit. Don't know what I'm thinking this could be. Just needs a bit there, doesn't it? It's better. Probably better to use the smaller malt brush. It's got a nice little point on it. I've enjoyed this a little bit, not as much as I do when it's live and with a little audience. Makes you paint a little bit tighter. There's no breaks, no messing about. You've got to get it right-ish. Okay. Scoop that out. Bleeding the paint from the jacket. Wait for it to dry later, and I'll add a little bit of. Oh, might get away with a bit more of that white's just around there. Maybe not. Need a flat tissue. A fresh one. Just to hurry up. Just a little. Oh, that's better. Mop it up. Do that. Bond. Basildon. Bond. I think I'll call it quits now. Just lift that bit off. Let's see. Just lift it off a bit. Just to have a look at my just looking at the reference picture to see where the whites, if there's any extra white on it. That brush does this really well. Just blend a few bits in. Softly, gently goes. That's the beauty of having the undercolor. The initial white helps it so much. You can just damp it off with a tissue and smooth it down. Just get that extra smoothness, just lift off the paint that you've put on the top. Almost works. Definitely got a line there, haven't we? quite bright, frail. There is a, just soften it down a bit. That bit there. Try and follow the contours of where the face might be. And that's me done, I think. Oh, apart from that bit there, which has suddenly arrived. Don't know where that came from. Don't mind a bit of, does have those wrinkle bits there, but don't want them that strong. Yeah, that do. Bond. Sean Connery Bond. I need to give some more off on here. But I didn't put any highlight white on the hand, so you could tell the difference. It's not a little bit. It's not so much coming off. Not too bad. That's all of that now. Maybe that could be a bit of work in progress later. Just tighten that up. Bond. Dave Bond. Food for thought. Not bad for an hour. Yeah. Well, at least I've done something. We had a go. Over to you guys. You have a go. What's going on here? Look at this dog. It's cocking its leg. All right. Yeah, that's a little bit better. You can see all of it now. Bond. Dave Bond.